Hi, everyone. My name is Arbel Dolev, and I'm a Senior Director of Customer Success at Centrical. With me today are Gianni and Rachel from Capita Experience, who've won the High Performer Award at our annual Customer Select Awards. This award recognizes an organization that has unlocked personalized, real-time performance management at scale. With data-driven insights at their fingertips, employees and leaders are empowered to achieve personal bests, driving business success across the enterprise. Today, we're going to talk about what's so special about this program and why they've earned this award. Before we get started, do you guys mind sharing a little bit about Capita Experience, your roles, and the area of the business that has implemented Centrical?
So I'm Gianni Petrillo. I'm the Senior Operations Manager for the Scottish Power area within Capita Experience. So Capita Experience is the section within Capita where we support a number of different clients and we are a BPO essentially for a number of the UK's biggest brands in a number of sectors, so utilities, essentially every sector known to man, I suppose, without going through the full list. We touch at some point in each day. Centrical came to us in around February this year, and initially Scottish Power, which is the area that Rachel and I work within, was the area that was selected to sort of be the guinea pig for the Centrical tool within Capita Experience, and we implemented that in our contract from February this year and rolled it out over 345 different members of our staff, with the main goal being to bring down the average handling time of the customers and the calls that we were dealing with, alongside maintaining improvements and continuous improvement on the other range of KPIs that we have to deliver within our contract on a day-to-day basis. And we've successfully done that over the course of the last year. We've gained around a 9.9% benefit in AHT, so huge reductions off the talk times of our calls. And whilst we've done that, we've continued to improve month on month in first customer resolution and value add metrics such as smart bookings, etc. So not only have we got more efficient at dealing with customers, but we've got more effective too over the time that we've used Centrical. And then Rachel.
Yeah, so my name's Rachel Richardson. I'm the operation manager for the prepayment department within Scottish Power. I've worked for Capita for just over 20 years on various different contracts. I've been with Scottish Power for 2 years and loved every minute of it. The benefit of Centrical that I've found is that we've got a number of departments within Scottish Power. And the operations managers oversee their own department, but what Centrical has done is bring us all together. It's allowed us not only to work as the wider team, but has allowed for our teams to engage with each other. So it's been a massive, massive positive from that aspect.
First of all, I'm glad you guys were the guinea pigs. We like to be involved with guinea pigs, so that works for us. And It sounds fantastic, and it sounds like you've already seen a lot of the benefits that we're hoping to sort of get into and discuss as we go through this discussion. But I know you were looking to target AHT. I know you were looking to bring it down, but is that the main point? Was that sort of the main portion or pain point that you were looking to address when you decided to implement Centrical, or was it something else?
So I think that was the main thing that the business was looking at addressing. I think, which is why I sort of give those figures straight away off the bat, because as a business case, that's what we were looking to implement and achieve. I think what we've actually gained out the back of it, though, is much more than the AHT benefit than what we looked at originally. So it originally came into us and it was more you're getting this gamification tool and use this competition element to drive down the AHT. But there's been a number of other things other than the AHT that we've actually got out the background since we've been using Centrical. So as I said, that whilst we've brought the AHT down, our first customer resolution has gone up each month. And the way that we built the tool, for anybody that's not used Centrical, you might not know, but that might be watching this, but for anybody that has used Centrical, you probably do know. the way we built it was the coins element of it was to go to the AHT, because that's initially what we got. The MO was there's all this other stuff in this tool as well, but don't use that. The main thing we're buying this for is gamification, and it should help you get this. So we put the coins element onto the AHT, and some of the other KPIs that we brought in the periphery were more points driven and around the levels to go up and unlock the store and sort of use that as a caveat as such. But because actually we've then embedded other things as time's gone on, and we've learned what Centrical does as a tool, and that it's not just the gamification, there's other stuff in there, we've actually got month-on-month gains. So, for example, a big thing for our client, as anybody will know that works within the energy sector right now, is smart bookings and getting smart meters fitted into customer properties. So our smart meter performance, particularly in Rachel's area, she was booking around 14% of the customers she spoke to per week in February when we first got Centrical. Now we're actually booking in around 19 to 22% a week, and we fall within that range. So it's not just what we've got out of AHT, it's also what we've got out of using the product in its full format, in terms of the manager's engagement in that, their ability to access data, the overall competition on all elements, whether they get a coin or not for it. But also, I think the support that we've been able to give to people, the biggest thing for me, which we didn't, and I'd say this to anybody that uses Centrical, we didn't look at it in this way to begin with, because we were given this gamification tool, we were trying to unlock a gamification tool. But as time went on and we used more of it, what we realized was it was not only a gamification tool, but it was a management enabling tool as well. And the support that the team managers were then able to give back. So from what we can track, the team managers have got around an hour and a half's worth of productivity a week back through using Centrical, and through the data that sits within there, and the fact that it points out the insights and where they need to go and support and all those different things. So really opening ourselves up and utilizing it in the best way, we've actually seen ourselves improving pretty much everything, whether we were targeting that or not to begin with. And that's just kind of what we've gained as we've gone through. And I think one of the things that I've realised more than anything, because I was part of, Trish, who's not on this today, but Trish and I were on it to begin with and were given the MO of what it was there to do. What we've kind of learned to do is just embrace all of what's in it and work out how to use it together. And ultimately, we'll get the best things out of everything, rather than just trying to target really specific things all the time. And ultimately, you will then reap what you sow, essentially.
That sounds absolutely amazing, Gianni, and thank you for elaborating about all of that. But it's interesting because you're talking about the fact you came in with a specific target, right?
Yeah.
Or an idea. And then you've started sort of opening your approach to the platform, allowing different features to guide you and to take you to the next areas that you were perhaps not even looking to target to begin with. What would you pinpoint as being perhaps the most either unique approach or the thing that really drove it home internally to the 345 individuals that were using this platform day in, day out? Which component of your strategy or the evolving strategy that you've had throughout?
Well, I think in terms of how we engaged the entirety of the workforce within what we were doing was after a couple of months of utilising the tool and recognising there was other things that we wanted to implement, bring in, there was other things we were seeing benefits of. We've got a SME within our team, which is the person that we essentially use to do all the heavy work as such, and do all the changes in there, uploading of data, etc. And we started implementing a monthly forum with that person where we would look at everything that we've got out of it over the past month, what all the data is telling us, what the utilization's telling us. And we then started to come up with, and we'd have a strategy day. So where do we want to go next? What do we want to implement over the next month? And then what we brought into that was we started to bring in team manager sessions off the back end of it, and operations manager sessions as well, where the SME and myself mainly would set up a session and talk about all the things that we were looking to bring in over the next month, what the idea of those was, why we were doing it, what it was there to benefit, asking for any feedback from the wider team, so what they wanted to see in there, what they wanted to see improve over the next month. what functionality they were using the most of and what they saw the most benefit of, so that we could make sure what we were doing at a top level aligned with what they were seeing work for it day in, day out. But then I think as well, and I know people don't like to do this as much, but we tracked the usage of certain managers and how they utilized the platform and utilized the different datas. And we then use that against their current performance metrics and shared that with the other team managers. So the best example I can give is in the early days, there was a couple of managers where they were actioning 90% plus of all the insights that came through to them. And it was really clear to us within the data that they were the best performing teams across the platform. So it was then taking away the education piece as well, and taking that into the sessions that we held with the team managers, that was to say, we're not telling you off, we're not forcing you to use the tool, but actually, if you really look at the underpinning data, all these pressures that you're feeling day in, day out on your performance will get better if you embrace and utilize the tool, because your peers that are doing that are not having the same challenges that you're having at this moment in time, and they're starting to see the benefits and they're starting to see the performance increase. So a really long answer to a short question is a lot of looking inwardly at what we can do, what we can add in, and how we can leverage the tool to work better to address whatever we were aiming at improving in that particular month, whether that's coaching volumes, whether it was smart meters, whether it was AHT, what functionality was in the tool and how we could leverage that to match that, but also a lot of feedback and communication between the team managers and helping point out to them how it's actually helping them. Because, you know, you can be in the day-to-day of using a tool and not actually see for yourself what aid it is giving you once it becomes normal. When somebody sits down and goes, actually, you're using it 20% of the time, and Dave over here, for example, is using it 100% of the time, and he's 25% ahead of you, that's when people start to think, okay. And then it's the follow-up conversation, kind of like the coaching they would do with their advisors, to say, this last week, you've actually increased your usage to 80% and you've seen a 2% increase in your team's performance. So can you see how using this day in, day out is actually helping you achieve your goals in line with your teams? And that was the overall approach that we took.
I love it. I love that. I love the fact that, you know, you were validating the top-down approach by going bottom up, right?
Yeah.
And sort of making sure that there's a meeting of the minds. But it is common that not everyone adopts the platform at the same rate or quite, you know, as enthusiastically as others. And that leads me to sort of asking you, what were the reactions, right? The initial reactions. Now we know that they're using it and they like it and it's bringing them what they want. But, you know, kind of, this is a big change, you know? How did they accept it?
I think the honest answer will be, for some they didn't, because as with any organisation and with any group of people, it was seen as, oh, this is something else we've got to do. This is something new. I've already got all this to do, and now you're telling me I've got to log into that and do that as well. And I've got all these plates spinning, and now you're just adding another plate to a stick for me to spin and to look at, and how do I manage that, and all of those things. And I think that's where you saw the difference in the team managers. You got some that ultimately go, yeah, this is great, I'm really bought into this. As you would with advisors with gamification, you get some that are already competitive that love it and hit the top from day one. You've got others that work their way up and get more confident as it goes on. I think what the biggest turning point in it was, as we went through that, was when they actually realised all the other things that they've got to do day in, day out actually get easier if they start using the tool properly, because all of the data and all of the actions that they need to take are brought forward to them within the tool. So initially you get that, nah, I'm not doing it, I'm not logging in, it's another thing, they're not going to check anyway, they're not going to know whether I'm using another system or not, I'm just going to do what I've always done because it's easier and I know what I'm doing and I'm great and all that, which is not wrong, they were great, but you know, you get all of that. And then as time goes on and you point out the differences, and we went through the sessions to coach them to go, well, actually, if you do your coaching here and this insight flags here, you know, you can go and listen to those calls, and then you don't need to do that other element. So it's not actually becoming an extra job. It's taking away lots of other jobs if you use this tool properly. that's when the momentum then started to shift as people picked up, used the tool, saw their performance going up, and actually started getting more time back. And that leads back to what I said before, where we've seen on average an hour and a half productivity gain outside of the team managers. And that's the biggest engagement piece for all of them, because actually that initial hesitancy of, oh, this is just something else extra to do and I don't know what it's going to give me, has now turned into, this something extra to do is now all I really need to do. And that saves me lots of time over here if I use and exercise all the things that are within here correctly.
That's amazing. Is that one of your success measures, how much time they've gotten back? Do you have additional ones that you'd like to share on how you were able to recognize that it is doing what you wanted? And you alluded to some of them right off the bat, right? But
yeah,
if you could elaborate.
So I think the main success measures for us is more around, we've got a completely home working environment near enough. I think only around 10% of our 350 staff work within an office-based environment at the moment, so the majority of it's home working. So the main successes we've seen is our ability to track different things through the missions and learnings. And what I mean by that is a lot of the reading signs and things that get lost in transition. I think Rach touched on this before. It allows all of the areas to come together greater. In a home working environment, before we just use Microsoft Teams, some people would send kudos in the teams, some people wouldn't. You'd have random reading sign briefs that are sent out. Some people would store them where they're meant to be stored, others wouldn't, and then you couldn't always find the documentation you thought had been shared, all those kind of things. So one of the successes, it's really helped our auditing of everything, because we now put even reading signs through the missions for them to complete, so we can see who has read them, who signed them, everybody's genned up on everything. And it's probably that wider lens of how you use the tool that we've learned as we went through, because before we were just like, yeah, cool, so we just put the training content in there, whereas now we're like, right, cool, so we've got a newsletter, cool, put it in as a mission, get them to read the newsletter, and then we can track who's used it. So I think our ability to track what's gone on within the home working department within one central place across all the areas, rather than in 10 different teams groups, has been one major success. The hour and a half a week that we've got back from the team managers has been a major success. I think the volume of coaching that gets delivered now versus what got delivered before, because they're more able to support them directly, is a major success. And one that's probably not spoken about as much, but the level of insight that we're able to give back to our client now is a success as well, because one of the issues for us, although it's not client driven as such within the tool, we've always had quite poor reporting, in a sense that it's all over the place on different Excel spreadsheets. And now that that's all consolidated into one place and we can look at it more from a team v team outlook, we can see where everything is. It's allowed us to pull that data out much more succinctly. Now that we've got the coaching in there, we can pull out what we can see all the common themes are on a weekly basis, where we can see the AHT dip with the other scores going up, because all the data is within the same tool. So a major one that probably isn't one that the business aimed at originally, because there's not a lot that we get back in terms of financial benefit, but it's actually allowed us to solidify our relationship with our client in a little bit of a better way through what we can give back to them. And then I would say the things that I mentioned previously, our first customer resolution in each area has gone up month on month. At the start of the winter last year, when we took the tool as a guinea pig, our first customer resolution was only on track for 3 out of the 7 payment lines that we've got. And now it's on track and on or above target for all 7 of those lines. And we're coming back into a winter period. Our smart performance has improved in all areas. It's not on target in all areas, because some have different challenges to others, dependent upon how the customer's paid, but it has improved in every single one of those areas. And our AHT has decreased by 9.9% overall. Some of those areas have seen greater decreases. So, for example, Rachel's area has actually decreased by about 13% on average. Some others a little bit less, 7%, where there wasn't as much to gain as such. But overall, we've seen a really strong balance, and I would say they're the sort of key things that we've taken out of Centrical. The other thing,
G, is just to add that we probably didn't expect that we will get from Centrical, is that we're able, because the way it reports in Centrical compared to what we had prior, we're now able to see our biggest successes. So who we would like to use as our ambassadors. And for an example, what we've been able to do is for those people that are, for example, overly achieving targets and smart, we're able to use them to do some peer-on-peer support with the staff that aren't achieving, to see whether they can pick up any hints and tips from them. Now, we wouldn't have usually done that before because they could be in different teams. So you wouldn't essentially cross-skill between teams, but because we've got that in one central location now, we are able to see who our biggest successes are. And on the back of that, we have been able to provide lots of praise, send out rewards, send out certificates. We really focus on those people that need developmental areas support, and we've less focused on those people who are consistent high achievers, but we are able to see that now. So that's a great aspect that it's brought to us.
And I think that's been the key thing in terms of how we've achieved all of that out of the tool, isn't it? More than anything, what it's the gamification element of Centrical is really great because it incentivizes the guys to go and do what they need to do off the back of the support that we've given them. But what I would say the key thing that has enabled us to do is support people better. Get them trained better, recognize where they're failing on things, send them to go complete those missions, those learnings, act on the insights that we're seeing where people are struggling or are not trending as well over the last 6 weeks. The way that we're supporting them now is so much better than how it was before, and that's the majority of where we've got the gains from. And then the gamification element is then rewarding them for going in and following that in the background, so it kind of helps just bring everything together.
And it sounds like what you're saying is holistic improvements, right? So it's not just a specific area, it's really across the board. Just a question of interest to me, are you seeing this in employee satisfaction scores as well? Are you seeing them reacting to the platform favorably and saying as such? Because you're talking about recognition and you're talking about rewards, and you're seeing them for who they are and what they're doing.
So to answer directly, yes. So we haven't had our latest pulse survey across Capita yet, so I haven't got that score. But what we've done throughout is done lots of temperature check surveys within Centrical itself to find out. And the majority of, don't get me wrong, there's always one or two advisors that say, I don't see the benefit in it because I was already great, etc. But the majority of people across the board, and I would say 97% of, are making positive noises. I do town halls with, which is like skip level with advisors on a monthly basis. Everybody makes positive noises on that. And one of the other things I think that was really key to how we got the advisors engaged, which is probably something people miss a little bit, is we went out with a survey before we started the project to say, what is it you actually want to see within the tool? What kind of prizes do you want? What do you want access to in the shop? And we created the content of that based on what they'd actually asked for, which has helped to engage them a little bit more. And we've kind of gone wide ranging with it. So rather than having 10 different things in there, but they need to get 200 coins to buy any one of those, and it might take them months and months and months to save up for it, there's some bigger prizes that are 200-300 coins that if you're a really good performer and you know you're going to earn lots of coins every single week, you can maybe save up to get one of those. But we've also then got lots of smaller things in there which are for little coins, but are the things that they actually said they wanted. We always sort of think that people want your big PlayStations, your big TVs, your holidays, your things like that. And that's what we think as a management team, and that's what we usually put in place. But actually, when we went out to the people, what they really wanted was an hour's extra break on this day, or the manager to take a call for them, or a duvet day, or an extra annual leave day, or 2-hour late start, 2-hour early finish, those kind of things that help give them more of a flexible working arrangement, really. So what we did was then work with our planning team to be able to offer an amount of those in the shop as well each month. And they actually cost far less than the bigger stuff that's in there, like your Ninja air fryers and whatever. So there's something in there that's going to appeal to everybody. But ultimately, we're rewarding them with what they want, not what we think they want. And I think that's what's really helped the engagement side as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Everybody likes when they're being listened to, right? Especially these guys. You asked them and then you listened. And that just brings a level of confidence in you and trust in you that you're listening to what they're saying, and that's beautiful. What's next? What are you looking to achieve next with Centrical, with the platform? Sky's the limit.
So I think as much as possible, really, in terms of anything would be the answer. I was in the Manchester event a couple of weeks back, so I know we've got the teams really excited for some of the AI team manager assist stuff that's coming through, and I think that'll also be a massive help in terms of giving us even more productivity back with the team managers. We're looking to upload more data into Centrical moving forward. So, for example, at the minute we've got like QA scores in there. I'm looking to break down each of the questions in there, so actually you can track how they're performing on each question rather than just the overall QA score. So I suppose for us, one, we want to get more productivity back for the team managers out of it so they can continue and continue to improve on how they support the people that work for us. Two, we want to be able to get more data out of it and use it more intelligently for us to be able to continue to do that, and then leverage that data to be able to continue to improve all our other performance metrics, the information that we give back to our client, and the benefit that we then see out the back of that for the business. Because ultimately, you know, in 2024, we all know data sort of drives the world, and the more stuff that we can use it to get out of and leverage for ourselves, the better we can make life for all the advisors and make sure that we're taking things in the right directions moving forward. I think the other key thing that we're looking to do with it is, which will help support the advisors and empower them to do better, particularly coming into the winter period, which is our most difficult time of the year in Scottish Power, is we're redesigning all of the training suite at the moment, and we're now in our next phase looking to embed all of our training that happens on day one and what they do as a new starter coming into our business and bring it into Centrical, so they actually start doing their modules through that on day one and start to sort of, go on their journey of using Centrical right from the first minute. And then it'll allow us to do more intelligent, you know, again, for those guys that haven't used Centrical, that might use this or not used it in this way, help us get more information back off of the surveys and look at how we can also tailor that training better for people joining the business on day one, so that we can support them in being more engaged, enjoying the job more, and also being more able to deliver for our customers and clients from day one of joining the business, rather than after we've given them lots of support and sort of manage them through. So they're kind of the main goals now moving forward into the next year, and just helping to really increase that speed to competence for everything.
You know, if there's anybody that can pull it through, I know it's you guys. You've done amazing work, and it has been fascinating listening to you, and I can't wait to hear what's next, coming over the next year and 2 years and 3 years and moving forward. I want to thank you both for sharing your journey and joining me today and talking about the experience that you've had with Centrical. And I want to congratulate you again on winning the High Performer. It sounds like you are absolutely well deserving in receiving this award. I think it's been nothing short of inspiring listening to everything that you've done and sort of how you've embraced not just the platform, but the potential that you could get out of the platform. And you know, it's really nice to see. It's really nice to see. It's a mature level of looking at the platform that we don't always see right off the bat. And I've been blown away by that. So thank you very much, both. And I really, really enjoyed hearing all about your journey. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for your time.